Dear students, welcome back to your education channel Learn and Educate, where we were studying a few basics about the company law and continuing that section 2 clause 67 previous company law. Previous company law means any of the law relating to the act companies in force before the Indian Companies Act 1866, under which the enactment of the Joint Stock Companies Act 1844 in the England leads, and according to which the first Companies Act was passed in India in 1850. It provided for the registration of companies and transfer of shares. The Amending Act of 1857 conferred the right of registration with or without the limited liability. Subsequently, the right was granted to the banking and the insurance companies by an act of 1860, and the Companies Act of 1856 repealed all the previous company acts, and thus all the acts relating to the companies in force before the Indian Companies Act 1866. The Indian Companies Act of 1866. Third, the Indian Companies Act of 1882. The Indian Companies Act 1913. In 1913, previously in the Act of 1882, its amendments were related to the company law in England, major amendments which were made in the company law in England up to that time. And in the Companies Act Indian Companies Act 1913, a consolidating act was passed and the major amendment was made to the Consolidation Act in the 1936, and there was a registration of transferred companies ordinance 1942. In 1951, the Indian government promulgated the Indian Companies Amendment Ordinance, under which the central government and the court assumed the extensive power to intervene directly in the affairs of the company and to take the necessary actions in the interest of the company. The ordinance was repealed by an amending act of 1951. Then the Companies Act 1956 was enacted with a view to consolidate and amend the earlier laws relating to the companies and other associations. It came into force as was largely based on the recommendation of the Company Law Committee, Bhabha Committee, which submitted its report in the March 1952. The act was the longest piece of legislation ever passed by the Parliament, according to which the Companies Act 1956 had 650 sections and 15 schedules. The Companies Act 1956 has undergone various changes by the amendment